Okay, this is the Spectrum I got from eBay today, and I tested it a bit ago, and I'll show a video of it. And it does not power. It powers on, and it shows garbage. And I think I've seen videos of that screen before, so I immediately was drawn to the RAM. And this chip was extremely hot. So, uh, I'm gonna. I first thing I did was feel around. These chips are all fine. I guess it's the upper, uh, 16K, and this is the lower 32K, I guess. But uh, I think I think I have extra chips that I can put in here. Or, yeah. So I'll replace that and see if it works. Okay, so here it is, flat. It had I think someone's name written on it, and it seemed like it had been repaired before because it had this big sticker on it. I wonder if any British people recognize that. So I first just I took out the ULA just so if there were a short, it wouldn't damage it because it's the only chip I can't easily replace. um, I don't have a proper chip puller. I just put it back in to see if the, I guess, RAM test screen would appear differently. And it was about the same. And my first thought was bad socket because I was holding the computer and hit the bottom of it, and on screen it changed a little bit every time I hit it. So the socket probably isn't great. I have a broken Timex Sinclair 1000, and it doesn't. It has a similar socket, and the ULA is really similar. It's just a different type of ULA because it's for the ZX81, not the Spectrum. There's also this weird bodge here, which seemed like it was factory, but this speaker is broken, which is definitely not factory. So I'll have to figure out how to fix that, I guess. There are also these on the fold-out legs, which are pretty interesting. Way. I think they press up against the bottom of the case. And unscrew this. Might just be those two screws. There's probably one underneath the heatsink. I don't have a flathead readily available. Well, this is one, but it's a bit small, so I don't really want to use it. Actually, maybe I don't need to remove this. And I'm going too, because I feel like there's a screw underneath it. Actually, I can just look. No, there isn't. So maybe it's glued down. I don't want to force it off and break it or anything. Oh yeah, there's like tape on the bottom. This tape might have been from the person that repaired it. There's also the switch, which looks factory because there's this indent. I haven't looked at pictures of this board before, so I don't know if this is factory. And I got concerned that it was like a really poor reset solution, like reset button solution, where it was shorting ground and 5 volts on this capacitor, but I'm pretty sure this pin, it's like a small trace that probably goes to reset on the Z80. So I'm just gonna heat up the soldering iron. Kind of looks like work had been done to this. I see scrapes as if they were scraping away flux. There's styrofoam probably from the box. But I think this RAM might have been replaced before. Or that's just what it looks like from the factory. But there's scratches around the pins, so it makes me feel like they... Oh, and there's like ripped up solder mask here, because this solder mask is really easy to rip up around the big traces and ground planes. So I feel like someone back in the day did a blanket replacement of all these RAM chips, and they're different from these ones, though. These are I think these are 16-bit and these are 32-bit. But the confusing thing is that these are from 1983 and these are from 1984. So would they replace them with older ones? I don't know, maybe that's just what they had. So I'm gonna desolder this just so I don't break the wire. I feel like a soldering iron hit that leg of that resistor because there's some solder on it. Should put solder on the iron. Don't think that was already soldered. And the chip in question is 2-3 over from the inside. I'm just gonna mark it with fresh solder so I can tell which one it is. There's flux around it, so. Alright. And I will just try using the solder pump. try positioning this better. Or just differently. There's a glare on my screen, so it's hard to see. 3. It's this one. Okay. Not that one. Might be a bit corroded or something, so I'm gonna kind of let the solder flow and heat up on the other side more than I was with this pen. I'm very I'm very afraid of these circuit boards because they can have very fragile traces, but luckily a lot of the traces aren't on this side, so I only have to be afraid of the pads. They're also really close to each other, so I'm going to try my best to not short the adjacent pins. That might have been what they were doing with the scraping, trying to prevent that from any like flakes of solder shorting them. I don't know if that was factory or the repair service. It was most likely the repairer. I think I gotta... Too much solder in the sucker. This side. Okay, it's kind of a lot on one of those pins, but it's no big deal. And last one. Alright, take a look at that. It was a little rough with the last one. I pressed down a bit too hard. But all should be fine. Just gotta push the legs out or to the left. It's a bit of extra. Here. Do that. Oh wait, I don't need this. Hate that. There might be a bit of solder on the other side, so we gotta check that pin. It's so much harder to do it pushing them in right than in left. Hope I didn't fold them over too much. Okay, this should be okay. And here's this chip. There's a bit of solder sticking on the outside of these legs, so I'm going to try pushing them over. Now it's loose. Oops. Pushing it in like this, and then the solder let up. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Bad RAM. It got really hot, like it would burn me if I held my hand on it or held like my finger on it for too long. And then look for a socket. How many pins is this? 16. That's 18. This is 16. There's a bunch in here. Alright. And what I like to do is, I don't want to force it in. There we go. What I like to do is, I think this is the RAM. Yeah, these are all, well, it's 64K. It's not 16, but I might be able to use it. The difference, not difference, but these were from my Atari 800 XL when I upgraded it to 256K. These are 8344 and these are 8334, so they're only 10 weeks apart from each other. But it looks a lot nicer because it's a Japanese one. For some reason the Japanese packages always look nice and like matte and sleek, and the Western manufacturers a lot of times are like shiny and more, yeah, I guess cheap looking. But these TI chips are matte. I wonder where they're made. So I like to put the chip in the socket that I'm going to solder so I don't melt the socket, and it all the heat transfers to the chip. Like I'm just soldering in the chip itself, or by itself. Making sure I put the chip in the right way. That is not related. Put that away. Okay. And then solder. Come on. Pushing it up a bit more. Just make sure it's all good. The other side. Sure, it's fine. Turn on the fan just because I should make that more of a habit than I do. This is leaded, so it's not the best to be inhaling. Well, it's a lot worse to inhale than lead-free solder. These pins are pretty cramped. But that's just to make it smaller, and that's what the thing I like about the Spectrum is that I love its form factor. So I wanted to get one. It's a bit more cool to have one. Or it's like, you know, computer from another world, almost. But we only really got, the only mainstream Sinclair computer was the 81 in the US. Now, the speaker I don't think is salvageable because I think a pin broke off on it. I don't know what happened to it, but that I'll figure out another time. I do want to get that to work, but later. Phone. What the hell? Okay. So this chip is in. I don't know if it'll work right away. I'm gonna actually look up the data sheet. I'm gonna compare the data sheets of the 16 and the 64-bit chips. Okay, so it was a very good idea for me to not power this on before looking this up. I believe these are the tri-voltage RAM chips that use, I'm pretty sure these are the ones that use -5 and +5, and +12 in addition to +5. So, I can probably use the 64. I just have to either make an adapter, which I don't really want to because I'm concerned of the vertical space, and this is already taking up a lot of space vertically. Or I can just solder wires, which I feel like I might do instead. Because most of the pins connect. It's just I need to make sure it doesn't... One needs to be out of the board. And one and 8 need to be out of the board, and then I can jump a wire from pin 8 to pin 9, and that should work. It'll make address 7 be high all the time, so I don't have to worry about that floating. If that's an issue with this, it probably would be. But otherwise, it's the same. I'm gonna look at the traces, actually, and see if I see the multiple voltage lines, and I think I do. Yeah, there definitely are multiple voltage lines, which I didn't realize that this used the tri-state RAM. Or tri-voltage RAM. Oh, I missed a pin. I didn't put a lot of solder on this pin. So, I'm going to, for this chip, pull it out. And this kind of makes sense to me because I think these probably fail. I feel like these fail more often, generally, compared to the just single voltage RAMs. I guess there's more opportunity for failure with the different voltages going through it. So, the pins I need to pull out from the socket. need to pull out these two. Do it like this. And this. If I'm gonna do this, I feel more comfortable if I put tape to prevent them from shorting. But this tape sucks, but it's what I have, so I'm just gonna use it. And these are the only RAMs I have, so because I never bought 4116 or 4164s. Specifically, I just am using the ones that I already have from the Atari. And it's gonna get fingerprints all over it, but it's alright. Try to like fold it in. I don't feel like this tape's really hard to cut, which is why it's good to use it for this, because it doesn't puncture easily. So it'll protect this from shorting out. Well, it only really matters for this pin. Though this pin isn't connected. This is a no connection pin. I don't know if it's actually makes any electrical connection inside the package though, so just to be safe, I'm keeping the tape. And it doesn't really matter about this pin because it's getting connected to 5 volts anyway. But I still want to connect it the way I'm going to, because I don't want this to have like a flaky connection just by sitting on the 5-volt pin of the adjacent RAM chip. Okay. And then I'm just gonna take some random wire. Let's use the red wire so I know its voltage. Well, specifically 5 volts. Here's one. Just zoom in. Bit long. I want to shorten it. Whoops. Oh, I thought it landed in there. The offcut. I thought the offcut did, but I guess not. Okay, wrap this around. So we'll go there. this again. I hope it didn't land in the PCB, because it'll be very unfortunate if there's some short in here that I can't find. I'm just gonna melt this back. Can't be bothered to wire strip this little bit of wire. Oh yeah, it melted back just fine. So a little bit of solder on that leg. And that one. Try to get more solder on these. It's a small pin, so it's hard to get solder on it, but or to like tin it, because it's one core solder, or one core wire, but still, I managed. There. This end of the wire is a little ugly, but it's fine. I need the tweezers to do this. It's really hard to do this on the left side. Here we go. There's a lot more solder on the leg than I wanted, but it will definitely do. And I'm confident that it'll work. Oh, before well, I guess I can clean this up later. I don't need to do that right now. I just want to test it. Alright, turn on the TV again. The channel I had to tune to was 85. I wasn't sure if this would actually line up with any of the North American channels, but it did, which was cool. And it works on this TV because it supports 50 hertz, just not in color. And I wanna, yeah, whatever, it should be fine. So this, I'm gonna power it, or plug in the cable that I got. I don't like ever use RF, but I needed to test this thing before doing any mods to it, like the easy composite mod. I just wanted to see if it worked first, or see what the state it was in was. And I'll plug it in to power, and it's not going to work because there's no ULA plugged in. I got to plug the ULA in. And before I do, I'm going to put contact cleaner down, which is what I was going to do before. I had it, like, the cap uncapped, and I was going to do it until I realized, oh, I should touch test the RAM chips, and sure enough, one of them was pretty hot. So just put contact cleaner on this because it's a single wipe socket, so I don't expect it to make great contact. Because my initial thought was that it was the ULA socket. Unplug this. I completely forgot about the ULA. It smells like propellant. Hopefully socket is okay. And let's plug it in and see what happens. No video because I didn't plug in the power video, and then, well, the chip isn't hot, but no signal. Let's check if the thing got loose. Oh! It did get loose, and it works! The only thing was that RAM chip. That's great! I have a Spectrum now. Cool. I'm gonna try... So the ribbon cable on the keyboard is totally trashed. It wasn't even plugged in when I opened it up, and these were just sitting here, like kind of folded around. Though that might be normal, that might just be how they are. So yeah, that RAM chip failed, and I think just pulling the address pin high and making sure the extra voltages didn't make it to it was enough to get it to function as a 4116. Let me find a wire. Any wire, please. No, that's long enough. And try tapping these together. Yay! I don't know what I'm pressing. I'm just pressing the random keys. And this is especially exciting because I never saw this. I never saw anything like this come out of the TS1000 because it never worked. It had a very, very faint signal, and when I checked it with my multimeter, it had like a 3-volt sync pulse before making it to the RF modulator, and a really, really low Luma signal, and that made it a black screen with very, very faint specks of there being text down here. But this one fully works, and the ULA does get a little bit hotter than I'd like, so I'm probably going to put a heatsink on it. My heatsink should be low enough profile to not conflict with the keyboard. And if anything, if the keyboard presses up against it, it can transfer the heat to the metal of the keyboard a little, and just be a little extra heatsink. And this 7805 doesn't get too hot either. The main voltage regulator. I'm probably going to... I don't see that. That's just the camera. Probably going to get rid of that because it's just kind of disintegrating. But that's exciting. And it's a great looking computer too. The case for the Spectrum Plus. I'm excited to fix the keyboard and get this working. So, no thank you if you were the one who broke the speaker, and now I have to fix it. But, yeah, here's the RAM chip. Just one wire. And those pins removed. So if you only had I guess a 32K RAM and or a 256K RAM or whatever different ones I can't think of off the top of my head, you'd probably want to do this if those were the only RAM chips you had lying around to replace just a single bad one. But maybe using the Kapton tape isn't a concern with this one, since this one, that's 5 volts and that pin shouldn't be connected to anything. But still, good to make sure you're not shorting anything that's not meant to be. And that's all.